Hello and welcome back. We're at the FaceOff Podcast again. Ironically named FaceOff Podcast because nary has FaceOff been cited except for in making excuses for not watching FaceOff. I mean, honestly, there's not that many good excuses for not watching FaceOff. We should all be doing it. We should all really be putting in the work, but very few of us are. Very, very few. Less every day, I think, as that particular movie fades into obscurity as it becomes just a cultural touchstone of shit, just a geyser of shit in a shit geyser field. It's not a great one. That's what I'm saying. It's a terrible fucking piece of garbage movie. And somehow I should feel bad for not watching it. There's a thing. Okay, so hey, we talked last time about the pervert's guide to ideology, and I don't think I didn't get to the point that I was trying to get to. I talked about a whole bunch of other bullshit. There's a part in that movie where that guy talks about there's a problem. I think it was that guy. It might have been a different movie. Anyway, he talks about that there's a problem in America that people are having, and all over the world, really. But America is the progenitor of all terrible things. It seems like we get weird mental issues, and then we ship them out to other countries. You know, we export them is what we do. And one second. We export them out to other countries, and then they put their own spin on them, it feels like. There is some countries that have their own real specific, what do you call that? Their own specific mental illnesses that are specific to their land, to their culture, you know, and they treat them in certain ways. You know, there's a thing called terroir. That's it. Terroir, I think is what it is. And what that is it's a quality of the environment in which something is made, specifically. So something like Parmesan cheese, which or Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm so racist. I don't know anything. Parmigiano Reggiano. I don't know. It's something. But anyway, that's Parmesan cheese. All the other shit, anything made here in America, Kraft, Wisconsin cheeses, all that stuff isn't it's not Parmesan. It's not that. It's a knockoff. And the reason why that's the only Parmesan in the world is because of the terroir. The terroir. It's a specific circumstances in the place, the region, the spot where it's made. Same with champagne. There's only a few, several different brands of champagne that are real because they come from a certain area where the grapes are 10 bazillion years old and they use a certain, kind of dirt and water and all this shit, right? It's sort of like if you get a champagne from California or whatever. That's like getting a Cadillac from Daewoo. You remember that? Or Kia. Let's say Kia. Or not even Kia. Some other shitty, whatever those cars are that are always in video games that look kind of like a Volkswagen Bug, but they're not, and they have one wheel up front. Whatever company that car company is, they sell you one of those fucking three-wheeled pieces of shit, and they're like, hey, this is a Cadillac, because they put a thing that looks like a Cadillac hood ornament on it. And they're like, this is it. That's the same fucking thing, man. You buy Kraft Parmesan and be like, I'm eating Parmesan cheese. Such bullshit. I hate it. I hate it so much. So the terroir of the area in America seems to have a great terroir for cultivating mental illnesses. It's pretty specific to here, but other people try to copy it. They try to copy it, but it's hard to get down if you don't got the specific elements at work. the weirdness. This is such a weird place. Like, what the fuck is even going? Okay, hold on. Let's back up here. We were going to the why I feel guilty about not watching Face Off. So check this in the Pervert's Guide to Ideology. That guy, and I don't know his name because it's funny. It's hard to pronounce. Whatever. What the fuck ever. Go do your own research. I'm getting mad at your lack of research going on here. No, he talks about this thing where Americans and the world at large, they go to psychiatrists and they tell the psychiatrist that they feel guilty. They feel guilty because they're not having enough fun. They're not out there experiencing enough. They don't feel sad or like they're being withheld from, or like I don't know how to put it, depressed, or I guess even introspective about not having enough fun. They feel guilty because the way that fun is portrayed on TV and in commercials and stuff like that, especially commercials, baby. But in commercials, it's portrayed like it's a requirement, like you're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to be able to have fun. I can't go, okay, so here there's all these prescribed ideas of fun. You know what I mean? You got like going to the movies, going to a concert, going out and having some beers with your friends, going and out to eat. That's a thing. Those are fun things, right? Okay. Also, exercise. That's supposed to be fun, I guess. Take an exercise class. Whatever. Take a hike in the woods. Take a go climb a mountain. Go ride a bicycle, or you could go to a car show, or you could do. There's so many things that you could do to have fun. But are any of those fucking things actually fun? They're not. They're not fun, and they're also prohibitive, because if you can't, I haven't been able to afford to go to a movie since Ant-Man and the Wasp. I couldn't even afford that one. I just went because I didn't have anything else to do. That movie sucked ass. I hated it. It was terrible. I had the movie card for a minute, but they can't even afford to send you to the movies. They're shutting down. So I hear. I don't know. It seems like you can start a business and just not make money and do it forever if it's big enough. Like, yeah, that's a business model these days, I guess. I don't know anything about business. So, yeah, okay, so these modes of fun are all prohibitive, and they're not technically fun, because I think the technical... all right, so I don't know. If you look it up online, the technical definition of fun is actually an irreverent thing. So it's like something, there's not a lot of stakes involved. You're just kind of doing something that brings you joy, right? But I think that real fun, the actual definition of fun as it was once thought of, because words change definitions. If we all say something, so that one word has a different definition than another word than it used to, then that's what it becomes. Nonplussed is a huge one. So nonplussed is a pretty nuanced term. The word nonplussed, it means literally to come to the end. So you've come to the end of your understanding of a thing. So when you're nonplussed, you're just blank. You don't know how to think about a thing. So if you were to be able to look into the eyes of God, you would become nonplussed. If you looked onto if the crust of the earth peeled back and you saw the gleaming machinations beneath and all the crazy subterranean, tattooed, horned, yellow-skinned alpha creatures that ran everything, you would be nonplussed because it's completely out of your realm. You were expecting squid monsters from another dimension, and they're not there. They're just not there. It's weird yellow-skinned horned people with tattoos that glow orange. I stole that. Those are Hadels. Hadels, that's from what's that fucking guy's name? It's from books. A couple of books. Year Zero and The Descent or Descent. That's it. Not like the movie Descent, but kind of. Both those movies were underground. You know what? I think if you name your movie or your book or your story Descent, you basically have to be underground. Unless you start on some crazy like floating city or something like that, or up on top of a mountain. Maybe that's how you descend. But either way, you're going down. If it's I mean, you could emotionally go down. You could go down spiritually. You could descend, I guess, from the beginning, where you're up really high. You're the cigar puffing CEO of a multinational conglomerate. You've got a bunch of slaves below you. You live in a penthouse suite, and you take a hang glider from your office, your penthouse office, and you hang glide to your penthouse suite. You never have to go down and walk on the streets, and then all of a sudden, there you go. Your story starts to arc, and you learn that there's things more important than power and money and business things and hang gliders that go from your office to your house, and the smell of danger and the smell of fear on other people's neck napes. The napes of other people's necks, drenched in the smell of fear, and you're addicted to it. Now you know it. And that's how the movie goes right there. I don't know where you end up. How does that guy learn his lesson? Is that like a Schindler's List thing? Where the lesson is hard learned and we get no satisfaction, damn you. No satisfaction. Or is it the Don Peyote ending? Okay, so Don Peyote, he wasn't rich. And this is a movie. You should check out Don Peyote. I harp on it a little bit, but he wasn't rich, but he was sort of comfortable. And then at the end, he was just a crazy hobo. Spoiler alert, he was just a crazy fucking hobo. And maybe that's it. But he was doing the work. He was doing God's work. God doesn't care if you look crazy to other people. He doesn't give a fuck. And I don't know which God you prescribe to. Personally, I don't. We were talking about non-plus. Let's go back. I have to start making notes instead of just drawing doodles on these pieces of paper, these ever-expanding pieces of paper. This is a pretty comfortable space here. I'm pretty comfortable in it right now. Maybe a little too comfortable. That could be the problem. Nonplussed. What the word means now, that it's been changed by several years of misuse. I mean, I don't know if it means this yet, but it's definitely on its way to mean it because people got into saying it all the time. It's to say that you're not impressed. You're just kind of like, meh, whatever. Even President Obama, when he first took office, used the word nonplussed in an interview incorrectly. And by all accounts, President Barack Obama was a smart man. Look what I just did. I just said President Obama. I just said President Barack Obama. After that, I just got a text from the Spokane Comedy Club. What a bunch of dummies. Oh, Dan Cummins is coming through. Hilarious stand-up comic, Dan Cummins. Check out his podcast. It is fantastic. It's delightful. I don't like it. It's too much history for me. It's called Time Suck. But you should check it out. Free plug. Free plug here for Dan Cummins, boy. He's really going to owe me one after this. I'll tell you what. He's going to get that FaceOff Podcast push. Really going to see a jump in the numbers and wonder what happened. What happened? Where'd it come from? Dan Cummins' Time Suck Podcast. He takes a subject. And there's been a lot of serial killers lately, but a subject from history and researches it thoroughly and then reports, I think weekly, it might be bi-weekly or something, but he reports on it. So he does a whole show about one subject. Pretty interesting. A lot of people really like it. He's a fucking hilarious comic. And he's from Spokane. Look at that. From Spokane. So he's probably also a serial killer too. He kind of looks like it a little bit. All right, this went from a plug to a real shitty insult fest, I guess. What were we talking about? Oh, that's what I did. I said President Barack Obama. And before that, I said President Obama. And I don't know why I did that. I mean, I do. It's because I'm, what do you call it? I'm still, okay, so with Donald Trump, I'm still a bit unused to the idea of that person as a president, because there was a relationship with me and Donald Trump before Donald Trump became president. There is nothing like that for any of these other presidents in my whole entire lifetime. I didn't have a relationship with George H.W. Bush when he became president. I didn't know who the fuck he was. I was a kid, right? I don't know who the fuck that fucking guy was. I just knew he was a piece of shit. I could just tell. I even had my piece of shit radar on there. Bill Clinton, didn't know who the fuck that guy was. Just all of a sudden, he's your president. Here he is. I don't know who he was. No relationship whatsoever. The next George Bush, no idea. Oh, he's got the same. Oh, he's related to that guy. Oh, it's his son. Okay. That makes some sort of sense, I guess. And then fucking Barack Obama. Who the fuck is Barack Obama? He came out of nowhere. No relationship. Donald Trump. I've known about Donald Trump since I knew about George H.W. Bush. That guy, we have a relationship. We have a history. We have a past. It's like if your buddy was suddenly mayor or president or any kind of office, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily sink in right away. You could show up to his office and be like, "Hey, Dick, how you doing? You douche. You fucking suck, nerd. Haha, what's this for?" Dumping over the Perrier bottles and stuff. Like, and then the Secret Service just fucks your world up. You're like, oh, shit, I guess it's not the same anymore. So anyway, I've known about Donald Trump my entire life, pretty much. He's always sort of hovered in the background. And he's obviously doing stuff, but he's a famous person. You know, I was born in 1980. That's about the time Donald Trump was like, "Hey, I should be famous. I should be fucking famous. I shouldn't just make money. What's with that? I should be famous. I should be in Burger King commercials and, you know, Pizza Hut commercials and write books and do stuff. I should do stuff, you know? I can make money. I can lose money. Let's be famous. Let's be in a movie, maybe, or something." And I think he thought about being president pretty early on. But anyway, so now he's president. So now he's Donald Trump. He's still Donald Trump. So when I say President Barack Obama, it's because I don't know that fucking guy at all. And I expect if I don't say President Barack Obama, nobody's going to know who I'm talking about. Which Barack Obama? Who are you talking about? So I say president. He has become the title. Same with Bill Clinton. Same with George W. Bush. They're the title. They were the president. They're still technically president. People still call him president. Hey, George W. Bush, George H.W., he's still alive, huh? Ooh, that's got to suck to be that fucking old and gross and still alive. What a disgusting freak. His wife, she died. She's the one that died. I'm just clarifying that to myself. One of the most important, I think, I heard this. I heard it. I don't know if it's right, but a real important aspect to revolution. I heard this in Russell Brand's excellent book. He was quoting somebody, I don't know who, so, you know, fucking sue me. Go look it up. I don't fucking know. I don't know why I'm so antagonistic. I do know why. It's because I feel ashamed. It's because I feel guilty. I'm going to get back to that. Let's take a couple of steps. Let me go ahead and I'm going to write this stuff down. And titles and revolution and my towering guilt. Yeah, I spelled it wrong. I feel guilty about that too because I'm not a good speller. The computer does most of my spelling for me, whether it's my phone or the spell check. But man, you should see it. If I don't look at the screen, which I often don't because I'm always looking at my fingers while I'm typing. When I get done typing, if it's a page, it is 100% red. It's mostly just not even words. It's just, I got to go back and decipher it all. It's fucking ridiculous, man. I love it, though. I love it. That's one piece of technology I would never want to give back, because I would look like an imbecile. If all I had to do was handwrite stuff, people would be like, you are not worth listening to. And they pretty much are like that anyway, as far as it goes. So not much would change, I guess. I'd probably do more art. All right, I'm going to write that down too, because there's something there. Where were we at here? Oh, okay, Russell Brand. Excellent book called Revolution. I recommend it to anybody. This is a highly solid book. I haven't read his new book called Addiction. I think it's called Addiction. I haven't read that one yet, because Russell Brand went through a change in between revolution and addiction, and it's a spiritual change. He found, it's a physical change too. He got married, so he is a husband now, and he had a child with his wife. So he is a father now, and he found a newfound interest in the church, I think the Catholic Church or the Christian Church, which these are, it's interesting. That's an interesting progression right there. I don't know which came first. I don't know how it happened, but so anyway, he likes to talk about the church a lot. So I don't know. It turns me off a little bit from this new book, but it's probably good. He's an interesting guy. He's got a lot of good ideas. Funny, kind of a goofball, and was an addict for a really long time and sober for a really long time. And both of those things are very difficult to deal with, I think. And if somebody is able to deal with them with some monicum of, I don't know, grace, then that's pretty cool. Anyway, good book. Look in Revolution. So there's a quote in there from somebody. This is one of the things that we can do, one of the simple things we can do to help foment a revolution, a quote unquote revolution, a ethereal sort of revolution, one with necessarily no means in mind. Just recognizing that what we're dealing with here is corruption and horror and suffering on a massive level, and saying, look, we don't want that. We want something else. If the only thing that we can have is sort of the dissolution of all this and to start over fresh from nothing. Okay, you get it. That's what we're going for. So one of the easiest things we could do is get rid of titles. Stop calling people by their titles, because people are people. They're named. So one of the things that they did, one of the worst things you can have is a number. If they take away your name and give you a number, then you're a fucking piece of shit. You're a concentration camp person. You're a slave. You're a goddamn prisoner. That's a terrible thing to have happen. To have all your humanity stripped away, and all of a sudden you're inmate number 8992765, and you better fucking remember it. You know what I mean? That's your new fucking number. Learn it, boy. Boy, I always think of jailers as Southern. Like, even if you're in the North, even if you're up here in Washington, you go to jail, it's all of a sudden like, hey there, little biscuit, come on, get in here now. We don't need any of your fancy pantsing around. It's time to get down to hard time and really show you what it's all about. You know, like they have to take courses to learn their Southern accents and stuff, or they get shipped in. They have they have rednecks get shipped in and stuff. That's good. That's good. That's good. Oh, come on, boy. Oh, good Lord. All right. So getting rid of titles. So title, if you take a person's name, you leave them with their name, but you add a word to it. Oftentimes before it makes that person more important. It makes them elevated. So if it's, hey, this is Doug Jones, it's like, cool. Hey, Doug Jones, I have a name too. My name is Derek Schoonover. Look at that. We both have the first one and we both have the second one. Look at us go. We're so cool. Look at that. But if somebody's like, this is Dr. Doug Jones, all of a sudden I'm supposed to be like, oh shit, hey Dr. Doug Jones, how you doing? He's a good job. Like nobody's like, here's parking lot attendant Derek Schoonover, and people are like, oh, good job. No, there's no respect in that, and I don't need. It's not a title. I don't get that title. Nobody gives it to me in introduction. Why would they? At best, they would say, this is Derek Schoonover. He is pretty much pointless. But he's not a prisoner yet, and he's not a slave technically, and he's also not a concentration camp volunteer or whatever. So here's Derek Schoonover. No title. But if they say, here's Derek Schoonover and next to him is Dr. Doug Jones, everybody in the crowd, because there's a crowd there, I'm picturing, it all of a sudden is more reverential towards Dr. Doug Jones, even if he's a fucking foot doctor, which I could probably respect a foot doctor. My feet get fucked up sometimes, man, and it takes a little extra care, but your feet, they're the foundation of your whole entire existence. That's where your body goes. It goes on top of your feet. And if you're not taking care of them shits, then how are you taking care of the rest of it? So if we get rid of the idea of using titles, that's a simple thing. No, I'm not Mr. Schoonover. No, I am Derek. I am Derek to everybody. Miss, Mrs., those distinctions, they don't need to be there. They don't need to be there. I don't need to know that you're a doctor. You can say, hey, I'm Doug Jones. I'm a doctor. Let me get in here. And then that's it. That's what I do. It's not who I am. Mayors. Here's the mayor, Jim Balthazar. Jim Balthazar is the mayor. I don't know. I made that mayor up. Governor. Here's the governor. Here's an attorney general. What does he do? Who knows? He's the attorney of the general thing. Here's the chief supreme. See, that's a military thing. It's a military thing to make you feel like you're actually fucking doing something as you advance through the military. So you moved up a rank. Look at that. You got a new title. Good job, ding dong. And they use it, of course, in jobs and stuff to make you feel like you're going somewhere, even though you're in the same fucking building. Oh, good Christ. I'm getting good and worn out on that one. I don't know what it was. I just had a fleeting thought and it went by, and I can't for the life of me recall what it was then. I just wrote it down too. Or I didn't write it down, I mean. Anyway, nonplussed. You got to use it right. I mean, you don't have, that's the thing, is you don't have to. Language is an agreement. Just like money, you can use language however the fuck you want to use it, and it'll either catch on or it won't. And if it catches on with enough people, then it doesn't matter if there's people that disagree with it. If the majority agrees with it, then that's what we go with. There's a thing that people say now, and it drives me completely fucking insane, but it feels like a whole generation has agreed on it. Either that or the corporate fucking suits at the top have agreed that they want this as a shaping mechanism for this fucking hellhole world or country, at least. I don't know. But it's when you go into a store, if you go into a store and you walk into the store, if there's a greeter there, for some reason, those greeters say, welcome in. What the fuck is that? They say, welcome in. Like you were once out and now you're in. This happens to me multiple times a day. I mean, I don't go into stores every single day. In fact, maybe I'll say multiple times a week. But when I go into a place like Walmart, or I go into a place like, I don't know, where the fuck else? Like one of those restaurants. I haven't been into a restaurant for a long time, but those restaurants where they gotta yell at you like a sandwich place, they're back there and they're like, hey, welcome in. Welcome in? It's just, well, hey, welcome. Or you say the whole thing, welcome to Jimmy John's or something, But welcome in, that shuts me down. And then when you go to leave, when you cash out, people say, have a good rest of your day. And that grates on my ears so fucking much. But there's a consensus that welcome in and have a good rest of your day are okay things to say. And I can't fight against it. What am I going to do? Am I going to stop and tell these idiots that that's wrong? Like, stop it. Stop saying those things. Stop it. Just take the in off. Just say, hey, welcome to our store. Welcome here. You know, or go the idiocracy route and just say, I love you. It's one of my favorite lines of any movie ever. The guy at Costco at the at the entrance. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Just all day long. That's his whole job. Oh my God. It's too much. It's too much. I really had a good point back then. Look, I feel guilty about the FaceOff podcast, and I'm going to exercise this guilt in real time. You know, I'm not going to let it get me down. Because here, check it out. I don't have time. I don't got time to watch this fucking movie. So here's what I'm going to do. And I'm doing it early too. I foresaw big changes. I foresaw big changes right around episode 26, that we would be feeling something around episode 26. And I think this is the official episode 23 right here, the FaceOff Podcast. I don't know what it's called. What's it called? Oh my God. This is called BIOS Setups Diagnostics. That's what this episode is. Episode 23, BIOS Setup Diagnostics. That's I'm probably going to forget that though. 23. So we're pushing it up. Do you know why? Because I don't give a fuck about convention. I don't care about the rules. I don't even care about my own rules. The own rules that I put down. The only thing that governs me is the giant magnets and the squid monsters, pan-dimensional squid monsters. That's it. All right? I'm a free person. I do what the fuck I want to within reason. I do what the fuck I'm able to in the direction of my wants and needs and desires. In direction of my needs, wants, and desires, in that order. That's the order that I satisfy things in. Right? Okay. Good. So, that being said, I don't give a fuck about the rules of the FaceOff Podcast. This institution is archaic. It's bullshit. It's fucking pointless. It makes me want to puke. And so fuck it. I'm out. So that's what I'm saying. From now on, if I talk about FaceOff, it's because I want to talk about FaceOff, not because I feel fucking obligated to talk about it. All right? And I'm feeling pretty passionate about this right now. So here's the thing. No more apologies. Well, maybe a few. No more guilt. Maybe some. But from this point forward, there's no expectations. This is just an ironically named podcast, a fucking failure, a shit pile from which flowers grow, henceforth shall grow. The seeds of something. The seeds of something shall grow from this shit pile, is what I'm saying. And so this is the FaceOff Podcast, episode 23, nay, episode 1, my friend. First fucking shit's starting right in the middle here. So we're on a new path. This is off the fucking... Oh, that's what it was. Hold on. 1 second. All right. I had to write that down. I remember my thought. I don't know if it was worth remembering, but we'll get into it. So this podcast, we're moving forward on a new leg. I don't give a fuck about it. All right. I'm not finding the meaning of life, and the non-canonical episodes, I'm going to keep those going as I see fit. So I'm going to keep them going, even though there's no way now to differentiate between the canonical and the non-canonical, because the canonical has, in fact, officially become the canonical. All right? So the whole point of the non-canonical episodes was to take a break from worrying about FaceOff. Now that has become the canonical. All right? So the non-canonical, I'm not even going to fucking worry about any part of it. Nothing. That can be whatever it is. And I'm going to do the artist thing, and I'm going to trust that in retrospect, the non-canonicality of the non-canonical episodes is going to be obvious and apparent, and it's going to shine through from the very first, because in retrospect, everything will make sense, even though at the time it was just a jumbled mass of just flailing limbs and garbage. But in the future, the shit shall in fact play out. So, hey, thanks for hanging in there. That was a ridiculous thing, but that's what's going on. All right, and now I'm branded. Anytime somebody asks, hey, why is this called the FaceOff Podcast? I have to be like, well, I thought that I could find the meaning of life in the movie FaceOff. You know, the American action classic thriller starring John Travolta and Nicolas Cage by John Woo from 1997. You know that movie, right? And they'll say, oh, yes, I know that movie. And you expected to do what? I expected to watch it 52 times in a row over 1 year and find the meaning of life hidden in its greasy folds. What do you think of that? And they'll be like, that sounds really fucking stupid or intriguing or dumb as hell, or you're an idiot and I'm not going to talk to you anymore, or anything. And then I have to say, in around episode, I don't know, 15, I was like, this, I don't have time or the inclination to watch this piece of shit movie anymore, so I quit. And then I made it official on episode 23, which was a canonical episode, not a non-canonical episode, but was in fact marred by all the trappings of a non-canonical episode. What do you think of that? And they're going to be like, what's it about? And I'm going to be like, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing with my life. Okay? Is that what you want to hear? Is that what you wanted to hear? And they're like, dude, just let's not get into it. And then that's probably the point where I break down and just start, crying, and big sloppy, snotty, wet tears, just tears that have been built up for 20 years, repressed tears, which are the worst. Repressed tears are oily and disgusting, and they smell like fish, and I don't want that for my children, not in this country, boy. No sirree, Bob. So anyway, that's the stigmata that I've set up for myself here, and it's my bed. I made it, and so I'm gonna fucking lay in it. And so now you get the FaceOff Podcast, which could make sense if there was anybody else in this fucking room and we were facing off. There was a topic or something, we were talking about it, and I had one side and they had the other side, and we just would go and chat and everything. But nope, it would make sense if I had fallen off of a truck and had my entire face shredded off by the gravel and dirt of a country road. That would make sense. I would be Derek from the FaceOff Podcast. The guy with no face. Remember him? His face is off. It would make sense. It would make so much sense, my friend. But nope. I'm just the FaceOff Podcast guy. It's just a mark of Cain. It's just a tattoo of failure. It's just like, fuck. Oh no. Okay. That's good. Whew. I had a panic moment there. That's weird. That's weird how much that freaked me out. I thought the power went out on my little recorder there, but it looks like it's doing good. All right, we're back in it. So, FaceOff Podcast, you're here. This is a monumental moment, and who knows? Maybe around episode 36, I'll have all this extra time, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm getting back into FaceOff, and guess what? I'll fucking do it. I don't give a shit. I'll do whatever the fuck I want to. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. It took 23 episodes plus some non-canonical episodes in order to figure out that I don't give a fuck. This is my sandbox. I do whatever the fuck I want to, and you're either here or you're not, and that's cool either way. No hard feelings. Go away, come back, listen, don't listen, scream it from the rooftops, or just, mumble it in your sleep. One of the two is going to happen. It's got to get out some way. But thanks for hanging out. And many happy returns of the day, my friend. Ooh, did you see that Winnie the Pooh movie? I haven't seen it. The newest one. It's called Christopher Robin, I think. Boy, I saw a preview for that. It gave me the heebie-jeebies, man. That was some existential horror going on there. Those creeps running around in the real world. I was always disconcerted by how tiny Winnie the Pooh actually was. You know what I mean? Like he seems pretty big, but then and it was kind of the same with the Muppet Babies, I think, too. They're actually very, very small in relationship to like Christopher Robin and stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're very little people. Like Rabbit always seem kind of big. Same with Owl. They always seem kind of big, but they're really, really small because they're stuffed animals and they represent multiple different mental illnesses, which is it's really cute. It's a really cute, clever. I wanted to say about titles. There's one group in this country that has been pretty good about banishing, not necessarily banishing the idea of titles, because even to belong to a group is to sort of take a title. But it's Juggalos, in the Insane Clown Posse's Juggalos. And their view on Juggalos is pretty enlightened, because if you ask a lay person what is a Juggalo, which is a whole song, I don't know. What the fuck is a Juggalo? Who knows? But I'm down with the clowns, and I'm down with Malenko. So, what was I saying? Oh, if you ask somebody, a lay person, what a Juggalo is, they'll tell you that a Juggalo is an Insane Clown Posse fan, or they might say a Juggalo is a Psychopathic Records fan, or they might say a Juggalo is a fan of the certain subgenre of music, or blah, 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 blah. But invariably, the word fan will come up, that this person is a fan of that person. And that's a distinction that Violent J, who's basically the mouthpiece for Insane Clown Posse. That was a distinction he made a long, long time ago. He said, our fans, we don't have fans. We have Juggalos. Juggalos are a family. He's like, I'm not more important than any of these other fucking people, All these people are important. This is a fucking family, man. So if you got a Hatchet Man tattoo on your shoulder and you see somebody else with a Hatchet Man tattoo, you should be able to talk to that person. Even if you don't know that fucking person from anything, you should be able to have a sort of language that you can sort of understand, a shared kind of background, even if you never even met before. And that, even if you're not into the whole Insane Clown Posse mythology or whatever, that's a venerable thing. That's a pretty fucking cool thing to do, because most artists, once you get to a point, is just a complete bunch of fucking egomaniacs. I just was watching some Marilyn Manson videos today. Yeah, it was one of those days. But anyway, I was watching these videos of Marilyn Manson today doing shows, and Jesus, that guy is bored. He is fucking bored. Somebody needs to taser that dude or something. Get him livened up, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe the pie dude. Have you ever seen the pie guy? There's a guy that goes around and he hits people in the face with pies. So it's not like a crazy pie. It's just one of those little flimsy tinfoil pans filled with whipped cream. Like a pie, like a vaudeville sort of thing, right? Get a pie in the face. It's hilarious. And he gets in there and hits people. He's a French dude, I think. He hits people like Bill Gates. Get him with a pie. Elon, or not Elon Musk, but that other guy, Richard Branson, these kind of guys. Celebrities. Get him with a pie. And it's hilarious. It changes the narrative. You see these people as like beyond reproach, And then all of a sudden they just get a whipped cream in the face and they lose a lot of people lose it, man. They get upset. They're like, I just got hit in the face with a pie. It kind of fucks your world up though, I think. You ever see that movie I Heart Huckabees? It's got Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch in it. But it's also got Jason Schwartzman and Naomi Watts. And even young Jonah Hill. One of his early roles. Go check out Jonah Hill in I Heart Huckabees. One of his early roles. That's a David O. Russell movie also. If you're keeping track, that's 2 episodes in a row. I pulled up a David O. Russell movie to talk about. Anyway, there's a part where Mark Wahlberg and Jason Schwartzman, they're hitting themselves in the face with a big red rubber ball, and they're enjoying the moment of clarity that comes afterwards. We're just not thinking of anything, and that's sort of what happens. It's kind of a trauma, and a pie to the face when you're not expecting it is definitely a trauma. It's a minor trauma in the long run, but in the moment, it can really show people what you got going on, depending on your response. And not you, obviously, but depending on a person's response. You hit me in the face with a pie, I'm probably going to freak out. It's probably going to be pretty embarrassing for me, I got to tell you, because I'm on edge. I'm on edge. And it gets pretty weird inside my brain. So I'm not proud of that. I wish I would be cool. I wish I would laugh about it. I'd be one of those guys that's like, nah. Speaking of those guys, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who would expect? There's another guy. Some people call him Governor Schwarzenegger. No, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I had a relationship with him before. Jesse the Body Ventura. I had a relationship with him before the fucking, the stuff, the governor stuff. So anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he got hit in the face with an egg. Somebody hit him in the face with an egg, and he just shrugged it off like it was nothing. He was talking to people at the time, and he just kept talking. Got hit right in the face with an egg. He just shrugged it off, no big deal. And then later, the reporters asked him about it, and he said, "Hey, you got hit by an egg." And he said, "Oh yeah, that guy, he owes me some bacon." Ha 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 ha! That's interesting. What's going on in that guy's head? Maybe not a lot, but maybe some sort of peace and calm. Do we know what balance looks like? Do we know what the epitome of human balance looks like? Somebody who has a balanced physical and spiritual, metaphysical life. What does it look like? Do we know what that looks like? I feel like we have a sense, but who do we know that fits that criteria? Right? So who looks like they're balanced? I can name off millions of people who don't look like they're balanced. But who looks like they're balanced? That guy that plays Aquaman kind of does. I don't know. Maybe he just is like a big attractive presence, like this super huge presence. You know what I mean? He was in Game of Thrones too. And okay, so like him compared to that guy that played the Mountain in Game of Thrones, that dude doesn't look balanced. He looks like he's got an issue. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Who looks balanced? Man, I can't think of one fucking person. Not one person. I'm gonna keep thinking about it. If you know anybody who looks balanced, I mean, even if you know somebody in your life that looks balanced, I can't even think of like the closest I came was Aquaman. That's not great. That's pretty bad. That's pretty funky. I don't know, man. Because it's weird. What creates balance? Is balance in the eye of the beholder? Do you know that the kilogram, that there is a thing, it's like a silver cylinder, I think, that weighs a kilogram, and that's how we know what a kilogram weighs, is because of this silver thing, this like cylinder of silver, and it changed. It changed weight. It's now heavier or lighter or something, so they have to retire it and build something new. So what's balance look like? All right, I want to say we think of like a monk. All right, you think of a monk who's sitting on a mountaintop meditating for 46 hours a day, you know, and you're like, that guy's balanced, but that guy is not balanced. That's my problem with gurus, is they always go to the mountaintop and have people come to the mountaintop and then go back into the world. That's not living in the fucking world. That's going to a fucking mountaintop. Anybody can go to a fucking mountaintop. Don't go to a mountaintop guru. Fuck those fucking guys. You need to talk to a guru that's in the shit, that's out here feeling things, all right? So that's not balanced, all right? Now, somebody who's crazed on drugs and out there running the streets, you know, that's not balanced either, because where's your spirit at, man? What's going on? Where are you at? You got some bad things, right? So a person going to work 5 days a week, you know, is that person balanced? Making a good paycheck? The CEO? Is the CEO balanced? The president has never been balanced. That's an unbalanced job. What is balance anyway? It's just the way that I think of balance, I guess, is a board with a thing in the middle, and so it'll just you got to put things on both sides, and you got to make it so it doesn't fall over, right? Yeah, that's about right. So what does it look like? What does a person look like who's balanced? Man, and we don't even know. We don't even know if milk's good for you. I mean, we're pretty sure that it's not, right? I just pulled that out. I think that's a Lewis Black bit, actually. I was going to try to steal it, but I have too much integrity. I'll use it, but I won't steal it. I'll give him credit for it. Lewis Black, a hilarious comedian. You should definitely check out Lewis Black and one of his many, many hilarious stand-up specials. He's a very funny man with a very scathing sense of opinion. I don't know. That didn't work out. Trying out for voiceovers over here. So balance, man, that got me fucked up. It got me fucked up, dude. Because I can think of really fit people. That's pretty easy. You say, oh yeah, that person's fit. You can think of people that are fit and have money. Oh yeah, pretty good. They seem happy. Sure, yeah, right. And maybe they're a spiritual person. Maybe they got some spirit. I mean, what's important? What if you have all this stuff? What if you cover all the bases? What if you're fit? What if you're financially secure? What if you're healthy? What if you're thoughtful? You're empathetic to people? What if all of those things? What if all of those things? You're spiritual. You're introspective. You're intelligent. You're artistic. What if you're all those things? What do you look like? Can you see it from the outside? Do you have to know this person intimately? Would they kind of radiate? It's pretty weird. I don't know. If you know anybody, let me know. I keep trying to think of somebody and I just can't quite do it, you know? There's always something. Anyway, it makes me think, I had this theory a long time ago and it still sort of sticks, is that there's three types of people. Fundamentally, there's three types of people, which obviously creates subcategories because there's middle ground in between these three types of people. But I feel like you're one with an arrow. and I'll explain that. So you're either you're either an artist, or you're a scientist, or you're a mystic. And what artists do is they try to explain the world, but they do it ethereally, kind of. They do it through metaphor. Scientist tries to explain the world through a formula, through saying this plus this equals this. That's a basic thing. And the mystics don't try to explain the world. They try to sort of keep it ethereal, keep it ethereal. And my theory on this is that all three of those, so you could be a scientific, or you could be a mystic with scientific leaning, or you could be an artist with scientific leaning, but you have an overreaching, pull to one of those categories. I'm an artist. I'm an artista. And Angela is a mystic. And my buddy Chris is a scientist. And I know these things. And she has a friend named Chris, who's a scientist, who's also my friend too. He's also a scientist, right? So I'm her artist. She's my mystic. And Chris is my scientist. I'm Chris's artist. And he could have a different mystic. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who his mystic is. So we're all part of a triangle, but you know it. You can feel it. You can feel what it is. If you start looking around. First identify what you are. What do you do? What do you do? Do you create things through whatever means? You know what I mean? Or do you sort of sit back and try to figure things out? Or do you pray about things? Do you think deeply about things in a way that does not fit either of those categories? Do you think of aromatherapies and stuff like that? Do you like really resonate with crystals and healing and shit like that? It could be you're a mystic. Could be. So find out what you are, and then look around you. Who's your wife? Who's your husband? Who's your girlfriend? Your boyfriend? Who's your gender neutral life partner? Who's that person? Who's your kids? Who are they? What are they? Are they scientists? Are they artists? Are they mystics? God help you. They're going to be one of them. And see where your triangles are. That's what I like to do. When I meet somebody, I tend to categorize them pretty much right away. And then I have a way of sort of communicating with them. I'm an artist with mystical leanings, which is basically just a fancy way of saying that I'm an artist that doesn't do much art. There isn't much to show for it. I don't have canvases on my walls. I don't... Okay, like I'm not driven to create one specific thing. I have a lot of interest, and they usually last about 6 months, and then I move on. I get somewhat proficient, passively proficient. So if somebody said, "Hey Derek, here's some drums, play some drums," I could play some drums. Here's a bunch of paints, paint us a picture. I'll paint you a fucking picture. Here's a pen and a pad. Sketches out a picture. Sketches something out, man. Hey, we want you to get up and read a poem or do a stand-up comedy routine. Hey man, could you write me a book or a script or something like that? Hey Derek, you want to blow some glass? Yeah. Yes, I can do all that stuff. Hey, what about working on this car? You want to make some diagrams? I don't know, maybe. It's just, you want to help me budget? No, God, I don't know about that. Hey, what about this? You want to go find some crystals and pray together or something? You want to do some aromatherapy or something, it's kind of maybe a little more towards that than that other shit. So anyway, fucking figure it out. I don't know. Damn, dude. Jesus, everybody's so it's weird though. I'm even touchy, even with the knowledge of why I'm touchy. I'm still touchy because I feel guilty. That's the whole thing, is I feel this little knot inside my stomach. No matter how good something goes, I still feel that little knot of like, I'm not doing it right. And you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna work right through that. That's what we're trying to do. More than anything. You know what? Okay, that's a good, let's put this down. More than anything, what I'm trying to do is cultivate in myself the ability and the instinct to go right down the middle, to not fancy pants around, to not fuck around with this shit. You know what I mean? I'm still dealing right now, and I think a lot of people are still dealing with things that happened years ago, lifetimes ago, basically. And I'm still dealing with those things. And I would prefer that I'm not dealing with things that are happening now, 20 years from now. That's what I would prefer. I would prefer to fully integrate experiences into myself right now. And so that's why I have stopped talking about the change in direction of the FaceOff podcast, because it is quite traumatic to me. I gotta tell you, if I'm being honest, it is a trauma. It's not like getting hit in the face with a pie. It's like it's like I've been peeling off a Band-Aid for months, and it's every single second of the day, 24 hours a day, I'm peeling off this Band-Aid, and it's agonizing. It's excruciating. But as I near the end of the Band-Aid, the last moments, when the Band-Aid's finally going to be gone, it's going to be nothing anymore. When I'm right there, I'm recognizing that I'm going to miss that pain. Like I've become accustomed to it. And now I'm going to miss it. It's going to be gone. What am I going to do then? What am I going to have to complain about? What am I going to have to point at when somebody asks what's wrong, you know? Nothing. And so that's the spot where I'm at right now. So instead of saying it's okay, it's just a stupid podcast, dummy. It was a podcast about FaceOff. You want to not do it about FaceOff? Don't do it about FaceOff anymore. It's okay. Whatever. Instead of saying that, which isn't the truth. It's not the truth. As far as things go, artistic endeavors go, this isn't the most time I've spent learning craft, kind of, but it is definitely in the running for the top 10, you know, of time spent, of time put in. And so if I was to say, no big deal, we're just going to switch the format here and move on because I'm a fucking badass and I don't play by the rules, that's a lie. It's not true. I don't feel that way. I feel a loss. I feel like a failure. I feel guilty about it. And so in as a tribute to what it was, even though it was dumb or whatever, and possibly pointless, as a tribute to what it was and what it could have been and what it won't be anymore, because of the purity has been ruined in it, you know, of what it won't be anymore. As a tribute to that, instead of brushing it off and saying it's okay, no big deal, and being that guy, I'm actually feeling that loss, the loss of the potential that it was. Because as stupid as it sounds, and I'm still qualifying by saying as stupid as it sounds, or maybe it was a dumb idea, whatever, as stupid as it maybe sounds, there was no less of a chance of finding the meaning of life in the FaceOff podcast than there is in contemplating anything else in the world. So that fucking guru up on top of the mountain who's who, even if he won't say it, that's what he's doing. He's trying to find balance, and in balance find the meaning of life, the reason for existence. His chances are just as good as mine were in that idea, you know? And so there's a loss in that. There's a loss for me in that. I don't know if there's a loss for you in that, but there's a loss. It's a failure. It's a failure, and that's okay. I am okay with the failure. I'm fine with failure. I've actually gotten pretty good at dealing with failure throughout my life in a fairly constructive way. And so I'm okay with the failure part. The part that I'm not okay with, the part that's going to take some time to work out. And so I can't promise that I won't talk about this stuff more. The FaceOff won't come up as this part of it, later on. But the part that I'm digesting, the part that's still stuck in my throat, so to speak, it's the loss of the potential. So there was two distinct paths laid out. And in this episode, I'm making the conscious decision, the on top decision, the conscious, the decision where I'm fully in control of all my faculties. I am making the decision to change the path, to go from one path to another. And in leaving that other path, there's a loss. There's a loss of the potential of what was on that other path. What was available down there? Is there an orchard that I might come across? Was there a town down there where they had a cool nightclub? What was on that path? Was there like a grove of trees that grew little lunch boxes on them? Or was it death and destruction and doom? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what's down that path anymore. All I know is that I've irrevocably, irreconcilably, I've changed course. I can't get back on that path now. I could get on a path that's similar. I could just start forcing myself to watch FaceOff and get back on that path, but it's not the same one anymore. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. I have, regardless of what anybody else has in the world, I have feelings about this podcast. And they're mixed. They're somewhat confused. But for the most part, I have a pretty good idea of how I feel about it. And switching the format, or not even switching the format very much, just actually literally saying out loud, making it official, taking the responsibility for that, is a step that I would like to minimize. And if I was to minimize that, I would, by proxy, be minimizing my feelings that I have for this podcast, which I already do in day-to-day life. Okay, so in taking a minute to recognize that I was minimizing the change, I'm recognizing that I'm minimizing my feelings about this podcast in day-to-day life. So there's several different avenues where I'm not fully experiencing what is happening in my day-to-day life. All right, is this making sense? This is making way too much sense to me. So those avenues that I'm recognizing are maybe just a few things, because it's specific to this podcast, but it's general to things in my life. Okay, so the way that I feel about this podcast, there are other things that I feel similar to, and I treat them in a similar manner. This is a general experience, and it can be people, it can be things that I do, things that have been done to me, you know, and my default is to minimize those things in some way, to make them small enough that I can handle them, even if they're too big for me to handle. And this causes problems down the road. So this is what I'm doing right now, is I'm absolutely refusing to minimize and probably to the, and here I go again, probably to the consternation of the general audience of the FaceOff podcast. Derek keeps on refusing to minimize his feelings for the FaceOff podcast. And here we see the man with his head shoved so far up his ass that it's actually coming out of his mouth. His own head shoved into his ass and coming out of his mouth and speaking words into a microphone. So I'm refusing to minimize. All right. And I don't know, it's probably been 15 minutes I've been talking about this, but it's important to me because I've minimized things in the past and they have come out amplified in the present, and they've come out all out of proportion and directed at people that they shouldn't be directed at, whether that person's me or somebody else in my life. So therefore, what I'm trying to say here is it's my responsibility as a person who desires some sort of peace and equilibrium. As a person who desires peace and equilibrium, it is my responsibility to become accountable for experiencing the full width and breadth of and depth of my emotion in the time that it happens. You know, so it doesn't matter necessarily that it's a podcast, ostensibly a comic podcast about some ridiculous task, about finding the meaning of life in a terrible movie. You know, it does not matter because I feel about it. And I feel about it enough to try to minimize the way that I feel about it. And so it's my responsibility as a person who's working to create accountability as a default setting for myself, as an instinctual setting for myself. It's my responsibility to acknowledge that I do actually feel about it on a deep level, you know. And there's been hints of this like throughout. There's you know, the thank yous. When I say thank you, I mean thank you. Like I actually really am to say like I'm blown away that anybody is listening to this point is an understatement. Like it's unbelievable to me. It's and it's a really good and terrifying kind of feeling. It feels like validating. It feels validating in a way that is really frightening, you know? And so that's okay. And so moving forward, which maybe I should say moving backwards, because I like that. I subscribe to that idea that your future is actually behind you. That's why you can't see it. And what you look at, what you see forward is the past, and you can live there or whatever, but it's not the truth. You can pretend that's the future, but it's just you labeling the past as the future. It doesn't work. So maybe moving backwards into the future, that's what my goal is. That's what this podcast is finding and making accountability commonplace within myself. And that sounds, what's the word I'm looking for? Boring as shit. It sounds fucking ridiculous and totally lame, but I don't know that it is, because I think this has been a long kind of aside here, but the general idea is just sort of talking out ideas. See, I felt guilty at the top of the episode. I felt guilty, and it's led to here, but it's gone through some places on the way here, and I feel like I'm at least interested in those places. I do like to listen to this podcast back, and it might be egotistical or whatever, but I do like to, because I forget. I don't know what I was talking about. This is all unscripted, if you couldn't tell. So there's a joy here for me. There's a joy here for me, and there's work. There's a bit of toil. There's some dread. There's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of discomfort. There's some sadness here, you know, and that's what that's what my goal is to look and feel and really just be available to that experience. That's what my goal is. I challenge you. Well, I don't challenge you. I invite you to also look for those things in your life. And this is the thing: is I try not to be embarrassed about bringing stuff up. I'll try not to sugarcoat things. I feel like that this whole last probably 20 minutes to a half an hour, that's my version of not sugarcoating things, you know. And if it's not your bag, I totally understand. You gone, come back later. It's all good. There'll be plenty of, you know, references to cartoons from the 90s, and we'll talk about Beetlejuice at some point, I'm sure, and all that good stuff. So, but that's how I'm trying to keep this uncensored. We get so hung up with like bad words and sex and drugs and stuff. Those are the things that we censor, but we don't. We censor emotions more than all those. Those are just really available portals for emotion. So if I say heroin, everybody thinks something. If I say crystal methamphetamines, everybody thinks something. You feel something. Those are portals for emotions. If I say, I don't know, spread butt cheeks. See, that made me uncomfortable to say spread butt cheeks on the radio. It's not the radio. It made me uncomfortable to say that a little bit, and it made me laugh. I had a reaction to it. So all these things are portals for emotions. If I say dead cops or dead kids, they're portals for emotions. If I say fuck you, fuck your fucking life, then that's a portal for an emotion. It brings it out, you know. Shit, just to shit, fuck, cocksucker, motherfucker. You know, these are all, it's, and then if I say, oh, Wonder Bread, it's less so. There's not as much emotion there, you know. And that's all right. So the uncensored part of this podcast is the emotional. We're uncensored emotionally, you know, and just ridiculously introspective, I think, at some point. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is kind of wrap up for the moment. I'm going to get out of here. I do want to say thank you again for hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. Fun in the sense of doing something that has the sheen of irreverence, but there is a structure underneath it. You know, we are doing something together. We're building. I don't know. We're building something weird here, and I don't know. I hope hope you get something out of it. I hope there's some entertainment in there, some distraction, and maybe less distraction and maybe more just, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. This has been good. I'm not feeling especially witty at the moment. I feel a little bit more affected than I thought I would. And that's that's part of expectations, is there's always a chance that your expectation is completely wrong. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I used to have this experience a lot. I still do, but when I was a kid. And if we go to, there's a place here in Spokane called Silverwood, and it's an amusement park. And as a kid, if we go to Silverwood, I would have the feeling as we were pulling up that we were going to be just late. Like we were going to be late. There wasn't going to be enough for us. I was instilled early on with a sense of lack. And that's, I don't know, I think it paints a lot. Because it's not just with that, it's with everything. So when I walk into a restaurant, I want it now. So I know that I have it, and then I can have it. I don't want to wait. So when I do go to restaurants, it's a lot of fast food. But, I don't know. I think a lot of my time is spent feeling like I'm not going to make it in time, or I'm not going to get enough. And then another part is taking the things I get wholesale and squishing them down. So it feels like I have room for more. So that input that comes in. So it's to say that I expect the world from the amusement park. I expect a world that I can carry around with me. But as soon as I get the world, I crush it down to a marble so I can fit more worlds. There's a greed in that, huh? That's nasty. So I feel like that's what I'm doing with emotion. Like I'm not experiencing things in the moment. And so I didn't expect as much from talking about this right now as I'm getting. And so instead of trying to crush that down, I'm going to let it be the world for a while. Anyway, all right, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Hey, thank you again. Really, I mean it like a lot. Thank you so much for hanging out. This is it's a thing. It's a thing for me. So have a great fucking day. I mean, like, seriously, there's somebody out there, there's something you got going on. Just take it in. Take it in. It's big. Man, another person, they're so big. They got so much going on. Take a little extra in and feel it out. It's a good day for it. I mean, I think so. We're going into winter. I think there's a lot we could use in the middle of winter. You stockpile some of those acorns, and just let them be. Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks, man. You guys have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Keep your eye on the road. Goodbye.